Today we're in 1 Corinthians in the 3rd chapter, verses 18 through 23. And Paul is talking to this church at Corinth, and this is a church with issues, guys. This is a church that has more issues than they really know what to deal with. And so Paul says, man, I'd love to be there with you to straighten you guys out, but this letter will have to suffice. But when I come, believe me, we're going to have a stern talking to some of you guys. So when he gets to this point, he's really going to boil it down to one thing. You think you're right, and you insist on being right. And the fact that somebody else doesn't think you're right makes you mad. And so he says, don't deceive yourself. Don't think you're wiser than someone else. Don't think that you're better than someone else. And what is he saying? He's saying, you could be wrong. Or there could be another way. Not everything is black and white. There's obviously some things that are very black and white. Is Jesus God? Yes. Period. Nothing else. There's no other divergent opinion about that would be considered Christianity than Jesus is God. That's something to stand on. But that's not what was going on here. They were going off side issues and things that weren't essential to the faith. But because somebody disagreed with them, they would get puffed up and say, well, I'm older than you, or I'm wiser than you, or I'm more educated than you. And so then they would argue back and forth about these things. And Paul says, stop it. Stop it. This is what I want from you. Humble yourselves before each other. Love each other. Take care of each other. Understand that there may be a right and wrong, but the relationship is so much more important. And so that's important to keep in mind and to understand that we have to be the stronger believer in that situation and humble ourselves. That even if we think we know what is best, and even if we think we know what is right, when we see that our rightness is going to cause disfellowship, or our rightness is going to harm the unity, then we just need to back off. Because you are more important than me being right. You are more important than me being right. Stephanie and I often talk about, especially in marriage counseling, but it goes with any kind of relationship. You always have two choices in front of you. You can either be right or you can have the relationship. But you can't have both. You can't have both. You're going to harm one for the sake of the other in almost every single case. Now, sometimes it's important to be right. But understand that importance of being right is going to cost you a relationship. So is it that important? Sometimes yes. Sometimes no. I would dare to say most of the times no. Now, if you value the relationship more, sometimes through the relationship, because you love one another, then you can come to a common agreement, or they may even come to see your side of things and say, you know what, you were right. But because you value the relationship more than you being right, you chose wisely, and you got what God intends for us to happen with each other. And so I would encourage you, especially this day and age when everybody has to be right all the time, take a step back and say, what? You're more important. You are more important. And so I'm going to choose you. It may not change what I think. It may not change what I believe, but I'm not going to fight with you anymore about it. It's not going to be an argument. It's not going to be a thing between us, because I love you. So remember that this week as we try to conform our lives and become more as Christ wants us to be.